Welcome back. Well, what an exciting event we have had so far this weekend. Lex, welcome back as well. How did you feel following that last matchup? Anything that stood out to you? Any attacks that you were surprised by?
It was a fun one. It was entertaining. One attack that just really comes to mind was that one Royal Champion walk where she went across the top of the base and she must have hit every single giant bomb that could have possibly been there. And then when they zoomed out, I think you even called it out. Just look at all those giant bombs. It looked like a graveyard. That one was funny to see. But overall, an interesting match. Cool to see that the Dragons were doing quite a bit of damage there. And we'll see both of those teams more later today as well. But we can shift focus here to the final first round match, Elevate versus All Exceed.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one based on Elevate's performance in last month's qualifier. I feel they were so close to getting that golden ticket that they are definitely going to be wanting to, well, just get it this time around, right? They had a deep run last time. All Exceed back into the monthly qualifiers this time around. They struggled in the first qualifier, but starting to get a little bit more consistency back. So let's see what they are able to do. And we can first take a look at the lineup of Elevate here, Lex.
Yeah, really stacked lineup. Selenino, Bernaul, Leo, Pato, and the newest addition, Max. This team has multiple, I believe 3 former world champions, and then they brought on Bernaul last year, and just recently they brought Max on the lineup as well, and Max has just been a superstar out of North America. He's got one of the highest hit rates in out of all the top tier teams, and this team in general has just been on a roll, as people probably remember from last month, getting second place, almost securing that golden ticket. So close, and they're hungry for it this month. And I think we have a nice video from them to check out and see what they have to say.
Yes, I'm Max, player on Team Elevate, and this is our second monthly finals appearance. I would call Vatic Esports our rival because we play them a lot. We faced them several times last month, and I hope to face them again this month. I think Team Electros looks really strong right now. They have a lot of talented players and good base defense, and I think a lot of people underestimate what they can do. We didn't struggle too much in the qualifier. We only had a couple of matches, so I don't think we've had any Worlds level matches yet, but I'm sure we'll have a lot this weekend. I believe we have the strongest offense on the best bases as well. We work really hard, and you'll for sure see why we deserve the spot. Well, it's just the nature of the game that some small mistakes can, cost you big time.
I love the confidence from Max. He says they are ready to go. Judo, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he's normally always so humble, isn't he? But I have to say, I love the confidence factor as well, because I feel you need that. If you're not going to back yourself, then who else will? And I feel it's warranted as well. They were so impressive last month, and I think anyone that doubts them getting a golden ticket or having the ability to really weren't watching last month, because they really were head and shoulders above some of the other teams. And I'm excited to see whether they're able to continue that momentum into this month's matches, especially because we've had that brand new defense in there as well.
Indeed, and if you take the hit rates from all the players from stage 1 and stage 2 of this month, you can see on the screen right here, number 1 and number 2 both came from this team. Pato and Max from Elevate were the 2 highest hit rate players so far in this month. So it just goes to show that this team is very stacked offensively. But they're going against a team who I guess we can call an underdog here, but they are a pretty good team. They have taken out some high caliber, high quality teams in the past. It's All Exceed.
Yes, we do see them in the competitive scene quite a lot. We have Hiroya, Sonson, Kazuma, Invincible LG, and Nyarome. They did get into the qualifiers in the first month, and I have a little bit of an interesting take on their performance, but I will let you know about that after their video.
私のチームはアレクシードで、そこのチームのリーダーをやってます、ニャロメです。今回のマンスリーファイナルで一番強敵だなと思うチームはエレベートです。なぜなら、そこのチームは攻撃力がすごい高くて、どんなにいい配置を用意してもある程度のスコアを取られるだろうからです。今、最も過小評価されているチームはアレクシードかなと思います。なぜなら、他のチームは世界大会とかに出たことがあるメンバーが多いですが、うちのチームは半分以上が出たことがないので、知らない人も多いかなというのが理由です。私が世界大会レベルの対戦だなと思ったシーンは、今月行われた、世界大会予選の時にナビと対戦した時に14対14でギリギリ勝ったんですけど、その時に世界大会レベルの対戦をしているなと感じました。世界大会の枠が残り1枠しかなかった場合、アレクシードが勝ち進んだ方がいいと思う理由は、今までの世界大会は見たことのある選手、チームがよく出ていると思うんですけど、その中に見たことがないメンバーがいるとより面白いかなと思うからです。
I always love listening to the interviews and just seeing what the teams think and how they back themselves. One of the players you've seen in the lineup, Hiroya, interestingly, not able to pull in like as many 3 stars. He had a fantastic hit rate. In terms of the 3 stars he didn't pull in, they were super, super close. You can notice his average destruction, 98%. So he had a super high hit rate, and the ones that he failed were really, really close as well. And I feel like All Exceed as a team, we haven't necessarily seen the best of them in the past either, because in their first qualifier that they played, the 2 matches they lost to were Dizzy, who got the golden ticket, and then Navi. So I think they had just such a difficult run-in that we could certainly see them doing a lot better. And maybe that's why we see the predictions from the community, and that is 32% for them as well.
32%, definitely a significant amount, considering you would think that a lot of people would just assume Elevator are going to run away with this. So there is some backing for this team, and I think it's well deserved because they have a couple of superstar players here. And so as long as, you know, their other players and their defensive setup can really show up here today, they have a solid chance and anything can happen. So it's going to be exciting to see who ends up just showing up in this slightly new version of the meta. But All Exceed will be starting with the first attack. Invincible LG coming in against Selenino's base.
Well, let's see what he can do. He does live stream pretty much daily. His multiple accounts that he has in Legends League, right up there near the top as well. And this is the strategy he tends to run, the Root Riders using the 2 overgrowth spells as well. So let's see if that helps him out in this scenario. Obviously hard mode being a completely different kettle of fish to attacking in here Legends.
As expected, a Royal Champion walk early to set up this attack. We do have the Root Riders for later. We got 2 overgrowths. But first, the Royal Champion value. The Invis spell is placed quite well so far. She's grabbing that Poison Tower, moving left, taking a little bit of damage from the Town Hall beams. But after another Invis, maybe one more, he'll just go ahead and recall and set up the next phase.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if he, gets that recall. I was going to say, he can only really take 2 shots from the Town Hall before you lose the Spirit Fox. So rather than using that last Invis, decides to recall her to protect the Fox as well. Because there's just so much you have to focus on as you're moving through the attack that if the Royal Champion is blinking in and out of being invisible, she has just such a higher likelihood of surviving. So a great move there.
He did deploy that Overgrowth spell very early before he even dropped the first Root Rider. Spring Traps going off there for the outside of the base. That Overgrowth wears off quite early before he's even inside the base. Let's see what's going toward. I think some Valkyries going toward the Town Hall. The Royal Champion likely going to sideswipe it here. Warren ability should help to keep everybody safe for a little bit. And as the King is deployed on the outside of the base, it's hard to tell if the Queen's going to go outside with him or stay inside with the Riders.
Yeah, I think she... oh, she does actually come back in there. The King gradually taking out those buildings to the outside, helping out. It was great that he had the Royal Champion in order to help snipe the Town Hall as he moved past. And it's very important he does have the Archer Queen in the center here as well, because as I mentioned right at the start, the Spring Traps took away a lot of his Valkyries, so he really needs the Queen and the RC to do the damage. And so far, that's working out relatively well for him.
After the second overgrowth expires, now in the core, we can see those devastating defenses. The healers go down to the scatter shot, Inferno Tower, Crusher Mortar combo. He does have a free spell to invest there, and he actually still has a good amount of Root Riders alive. With the King and the Queen ability, even though that core looked deadly, it looks like he's got a shot here, Judo.
Certainly does. Spiky Ball blasts through a lot of those big defenses, holding on to that Queen ability for as long as possible. He doesn't want to use the Giant unnecessarily, but as his tanks are going down, now pops it, tries to get that extra damage. Can he get to that multi-archer tower fast enough to take that down? Royal Champion gets it, and what a start this is for All Exceed. We talked about how good of a squad they had, and Elevate, if they want that golden ticket and they're hungry, like you said, they're going to have to come out swinging from the very off.
How about that? A 3-star right away. That has got to be such a good feeling for them to get on the board early, throw all the pressure over to Elevate, who might have had kind of the mindset that, oh, this is no big deal. It's the first round. We do have to do well, but it's not as tough as like the last match of the day. No. All Exceed come in and say, hey, we're actually going to make this a really tough match.
3 stars builds the pressure, especially All Exceed attacking first, throwing that pressure onto them. And what do we have here? We do have a dragon attack, which we've seen relatively successful in the last matchup, but a couple of variations to that. Some rocket loons to try and snipe some of the air defense. You notice up to the 3 o'clock area of the base, and even an Inferno dragon in here as well, Lex.
It'll be fun to see where he uses that Inferno Dragon. I think likely just going to be using it as sort of a funnel troop, but it can potentially go in combination with the dragons after completing a funnel. Cool to see the Overgrowth spell used with the Royal Champion walk, but I don't think he's been able to get her to where he wanted her to go. It looked like he was trying to get her to go to the Town Hall, and no matter how many Invis spells he dropped, she just would not go there.
It certainly looked that way, didn't it? And it looked like she was maybe 1 tile, not even an entire tile, away from hitting the Town Hall. Nice reaction there with the Earthquake spell to finish off the scatter shot, but you can see he definitely did want her to go to the Town Hall, because now he's having to think on the fly, what on earth do I do? My plan didn't work. I have to completely adjust here. So a couple of seconds just to recalibrate himself, figure out what he's going to do, because not only does he have to secure that Town Hall, All Exceed started with a 3-star, so he's got to get that percentage as high as possible, even if he doesn't get one himself.
Fun to see 2 Yetis at the top side of the base in combination with a dragon attack. Not only are they just helping to set a little bit of funnel, but I think he's hoping that these Yeti mites can potentially go get the air defense, but no. Both Yetis die a little bit early. Oh, but he had a plan B. Those rocket balloons can go grab that air defense. Maybe that was the plan all along. It's hard to tell if he wanted them there or if he was saving them for the back-end air defense. But the dragons with the minion prince going in straight toward the Town Hall section. Remember, he planned on that Town Hall being down before the dragons even started. So this is kind of an adjustment on the fly.
Yeah, and flying direct into that air sweeper is just proving so annoying for him as well, because he's still got this stacked Rage Tower compartment, which, let's be honest, he has no hope to get through. So at this stage, he really has to just try and get as much percentage as possible. But honestly, this is going to be tricky to even get up towards 80 at this stage.
It is indeed, especially with the Rage Tower in the core. There's just no way he's going to be able to take out much there. The Invincible for the Minion Prince, and of course the Phoenix ability will allow him to just get an extra 8 seconds or so of life and damage. He can take out a Builder Hut. I think that's all he got extra from the Phoenix ability. 1 Builder Hut for 1%. And man, he's not even going to get that 80% mark. It falls short right here at 79. So unfortunate that he just was not able to get his Royal Champion. to work the way he wanted her to go in toward the town hall.
Wow. Well, what a matchup we have here then. All Exceed with the star advantage and a 21% destruction advantage after the first attack. Now, certainly what we have seen in hard mode is you do have the ability to catch up a little bit as well. Lean on your teammates. It is a team game at the end of the day as well. So Elevate, after their performance last month, will certainly... They just need to have that one player, and I'm sure they've got it, who can step up and really just give them the motivational speech they need right now. But can they actually pull it back? That's the question. Or can All Exceed keep their foot on the gas?
It's a very good question. All Exceed have got to be feeling good after the opening round of attacks. Maybe that'll give the next player here that little extra oomph to really get it done. This is Hiroya, who you shouted out. Even when he fails, his attacks are almost always 96% or higher destruction. So this is one of their star players. And look, he goes with such a simple Royal Champion walk. He might have only taken out 2 or 3 defenses before recalling her right away.
Yeah, just get that defensive funnel as much as he needs, or as little as he needs. Don't take the risk of losing your RC or anything. And then I love this approach with the log launcher. Just trying to keep the Monolith distracted with the skeleton spell. He can snipe that off, and the multi-inferno as well. The Builder Hut and the Tesla prove a little bit of annoyance for him, but with the Monolith and the Inferno Tower, notice that you have that gap where, yes, there's a couple of Valkyries move around, but the Root Riders shouldn't then go anywhere other than through towards the town hall.
Hopefully one or both of those Yetis from the log launcher can go get that Inferno Tower. It looks like they will. That's going to be good. So his plan is still going to plan. The log launcher and the troops inside got the value he wanted. Those Root Riders moving in through the upper side of the base toward the left, slowly making their way over to the town hall. It is a little scary, kind of leaving the town hall for the second half of the attack here, but with an overgrowth spell still in his pocket, he uses it right there on the bottom side of the core to make sure he's forcing everybody to that town hall.
Yeah, just keep everything moving in that straight line. Get rid of any of the damage from the Fire Spitter as well. RC locks onto the Town Hall, so he decides to use the Rage early, quite aggressively, to try and help her through that. Also freezing alongside the defending hero, and that has worked out beautifully, because with that down, he can continue his push around the outside of the base. But Root Rider's falling fast. Barbarian King also going down. He's got the Queen ability, but can he actually push through the last end of the base here?
With a Ricochet Cannon here on the back end, the multi-archer tower still lingering. The Grand Warden starting to take so much damage, especially that multi-target Inferno Tower. Compared to a lot of other defenses, those Inferno Towers sometimes get ignored, or they aren't often thought of as a huge threat, but they really do a lot of damage, especially when they're supercharged, more than you would think. But as we move into this last section here, the Queens are fizzling out. We've only got a cloned Queen left, and she's on a timer. Here in a few seconds, she's going to disappear, and he's got nothing left.
Giant does manage to snipe the Tesla behind the wall. The Queen did manage to get the Archer Tower before she fell, so gets a couple of extra percentage points. Maybe if the Royal Champion could have got that Ricochet Cannon before she went down, he might have been able to get 1 or 2 extra percent, but I don't think it would have been enough for the 3-star, unfortunately. However, with 92%, it certainly keeps the pressure on Elevate. However, if they can have that team talk, get a 3-star now, it ties up on stars, and then they just have to grind out that percentage to catch back up.
We'll see what Elevate are going to be able to do with their next attack. It was interesting to see that they sent Selenino first. Maybe they have been mixing up the hit order a little bit over the last couple months, but I remember in the past, Selenino used to almost always go last. So kind of interesting to see him go early and not Max, who tends to go early. Yeah. And it looks like it's not Max again. So Max must be cooking up something special for later. Bernaul, who used to be so well known for his Queen charges, he's going in with the standard Root Riders here today.
Oh, the nostalgia you just gave me with those raged wall breakers he used to use back in 2019. Such good esports times that we had watching back then. But anyways, game progresses forward. Now we see these Royal Champion dives that he is working on perfecting. Does manage to avoid the Tornado Trap damage, shall we say. Managed to keep her invisible, so there was nothing taking out his RC or Spirit Fox. Is he going to be able to keep her alive using that one more Invis spell to get the Ricochet Cannon? Now... Oh, I thought he'd used his last invisibility spell. I was waiting for the recall, and I was like, come on, Bernaul. But he had one more to get the monolith there.
He brought a few extra invises than what's kind of standard for that sort of setup. He really wanted to get some good value, and he was able to path her really well. Got all the way to the middle of the base there, took out that monolith, which is such a key defense. So very nice to see that gone early. Skeleton spell here to help distract that Crusher Mortar and able to take that defense out early as well. I think he's setting himself up quite nicely.
Yeah, looks pretty good here, especially, like you said, with King on the outside. He's got plenty of protection right now to just keep the Root Riders moving through the middle. Does have the Eternal Tome on this one, so he can use that. Manage to protect everything through this dangerous area of the Town Hall. Heal them back up. Now we see the Overgrowth as well. More sort of mitigate damage in this scenario, but it should mean that everything pushes up to blend alongside the Barbarian King. And with a couple of abilities left over, could still get this.
Indeed, we see the King ability, the Queen ability. That King is just chilling on 1 HP. Of course, as soon as I say that, the Bomb Tower Death Explosion forces his spiky ball around. That Overgrowth spell expires. We have no more spell support here whatsoever, but the Rage Gem from the Grand Warden still coming in clutch, allowing those healers to get extra value out of their healing, and they are helping to keep quite a few units alive here. Although with the Royal Champion going down, we're losing a lot. It's starting to fizzle out.
It's interesting to see the teams like holding. This is a difference between hard mode and regular, right? Like having to hold that Queen ability because your Root Riders are more than likely going to fizzle out towards the end, versus in regular mode you can press that Queen ability a bit earlier to get more damage behind the Root Riders and push through areas a bit quicker. He did save it in this scenario right towards the end. He's got the tanking to be able to get through, but does he have time? A couple of Super Barbarians take out the mortar. They will get locked onto by the Wizard Tower. Can he get up towards that storage as well? Looks like Bernaul is not too sure. He's only got a couple of seconds left, but they get to the storage and he gets it. 3 stars for Elevate, tying things back up. So now they just trail on percentage, and there's still a long way to go in this wall.
Wow, what a close finish. And you could see the Queen there at the very end with like 3 or 4 seconds left to go. She could reach the storage. She shot it once, but the air skellies were on top of the storage. And then all of a sudden she switched focus with 2 seconds left. She wanted to go shoot the skellies, but luckily everybody else was able to take out the storage just in time. And he got it done. The 3-star is what counts. So other than a little bit of a percentage lead, basically back to an even playing field here, which is exactly what we want to see. That's what makes for the best matchup.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, they're only 13% in the lead now, so a much tighter matchup than what we had at the start. However, let's see what All Exceed can do. Does run straight into the tornado trap. Multiple bombs. Spirit Fox goes down. He's kept the Royal Champion alive, but he has had to use the haste file here. Recovers a little bit of health, taking down those defenses, but he's still got a lot of invis spells to use, which he's got planned on the Royal Champion.
No recall spell on this one. This is one of those setups where he's just going to use every single spell on the Royal Champion early, and if he can keep her alive, that is. Oh, the Town Hall damage hits her with the Poison Tower, and down she goes with 4 invis spells, not even used.
Yeah, he was planning to take that central area with the Fire Spitters, and as soon as she started moving down to the south, I knew that is not what he wanted, trying to send her back. But the invis spells are so difficult to use on the dragons, aren't they? You can see he's used a couple there to try and help from that air defense, but they're obviously not as helpful as with the Royal Champion. He's trying to get that Town Hall down. Meanwhile, we still have the defending Furnace just raining damage onto the dragons, so they will get through that Town Hall. He's got a lot of base left over now.
They picked a very heavy hitting area to start the dragons at. They took so much damage early. It looks like the Grand Warden actually died before all the dragons did. A bit unfortunate there. Lost the passive abilities from him. Minion Prince had the metal pants that was helping him out for a while to at least go try to clear the score, but there's so many defenses still alive. This attack gonna struggle to get any more percent. He'll grab a couple of buildings here and there. 2 balloons on the right, trying to get the mortar. I'm not even sure. I don't think they can even get that. They don't quite get the army camp. Can that archer get it just in time? Ooh, yeah, that's an extra building right there. But this is going to give Elevate a solid chance at getting the lead back with their next attack.
Yeah, I mean, when we think of that opening attack by Selenino, it was a 79%, so it was even greater than this one. And as we said, things flipping straight away back to Elevate. And even after that first attack, I mentioned in hard mode, the wars can be kind of clawed back a lot more efficiently if you can rely on your team to step up. And you also mentioned that normally Max goes first. We haven't seen him attack yet, so I wonder if he's next in the lineup. Yes, he is. Let's see what he's got for us.
Yes, the two highest hit rate players from Elevate, Max and Pato. I don't think we've seen either of them go in yet, so Elevate, a lot of firepower still to show. Here we go with Max, who's bringing a bit of a warden walk here. This is different. Haven't seen this much, if at all, yet today. He doesn't have a fireball, so he's just trying to set a little corner funnel. I think he had the healing tome and a rage gem. So look at what he's doing here with the angry jellyfish.
Yeah, maybe a little bit worried about the bait of Royal Champion dives and not really being able to identify where that was. I love the thought here of just using the Warden charge to do exactly the same thing. Set up the defensive funnel, don't risk your Royal Champion, and then he can just pull the Warden across with the Root Riders. I've always thought myself, like, maybe I can start a Royal Champion dive, do the Warden walk on the opposite side, but there's just so much multitasking involved that, like, yeah, it's a lot easier to just focus on the RC dive. Max flipping that on its head, though, starting out with a Warden walk. I love it.
The one advantage I will say this has over the RC walk is he might have used, I think, one rage, if anything, so maybe 2 spell space, compared to you often have to use 6, 7, 8 spell space to get that Royal Champion walk in with the recall spell. So he saved a lot of spell space that he can now use with the Root Riders. I mean, he's got 2 overgrowth spells and still a ton of backup spells to use on top of that.
Look at that rocket loon popping every single red air mine. Fantastic. And we seen last month that Max was the first player to use the combination of the Rage Gem and the Healing Tome on the Warden and use the Overgrowth to kind of help him alongside that. And this month, we're obviously seeing him use the Warden charge, so loving the creativity despite sticking with the same strategy. That's what I think Hero Equipment has enabled Clash of Clans to do, is play strategies in so many different ways. And you've got to say, this looks amazing for Max right now. With the amount of spells he has left over and hero abilities, is this hard mode Lex, or what's going on?
It was looking crushing for sure, but here after the second overgrowth expires, you do have to worry about this Crusher Mortar and the Monolith. But I guess, as you mentioned, him just having so many spells left over and the Royal Champion ability, her Rocket Spear just made that look easy. She cleared that scary looking compartment like it was nothing, and she's still at full health. He's got another Invis spell right there, and still one more on standby. I mean, there's over 30 seconds left in the attack, and his teammates are already cheering.
I mean, they know. I mean, Max is dialed in right until the very end. Quick little thumbs up there. Yep, job done. Another 3-star. I mean, just such an incredible attacker. Not going with the set way of doing an attack strategy and really trying to adjust it to the base. Thoroughly deserved 3-star. Putting Elevate now in the lead. Can you believe that they were, quote unquote, so far behind after the first attack? And now they're in the lead after the third? What a roller coaster of a ride we've had so far, and there's still 2 attacks to go for each team.
Yep. This one thing about these teams, especially with Elevate here, I mean, they are just a completely stacked lineup. There's not a single weak link on that team. Sure, there's going to be a slip up every here and there from one of the players randomly, like their first attack, for example, but when you average it out over the long run, all 5 of those players are superstars, and that's kind of what often sets them apart from other teams.
Indeed. Well, let's see what All Exceed can do here. I mean, they've got to focus up, get their head back in the game, but they're certainly still within this, trailing by a star though, so let's see whether they can get the 3-star on this one. I do notice the Justice Sword in the middle of the base there. If you haven't gone ahead and claimed yours, be sure to go to the Clash of Clans social pages because you can get that decoration for free right now.
A good shout out there, and we're once again seeing this Root Rider army being utilized. It is the favorite amongst the pros in this meta. Very simple but effective. Royal Champion walk to set the funnel, and then the Root Riders here from the east side of the base. Again with the double overgrowth setup, and we're kind of just using everybody together here on that 3 o'clock side. Probably going to see the King used a little bit further south, but the Queen just right in there with the Root Riders here.
Yeah, just holding on things so he can take out some of these defenses, make sure the King doesn't get too far ahead, and he can gel the armies together. Poison spell on top of that defending furnace. Now we notice the King down to the bottom of the base. Still has 2 ice golems as well, so maybe going to try and sneak those in ahead of the monolith. But as we notice the center of the base, nice use of the overgrowth to try and path things together, because they were starting to split there.
This is one thing we've seen a lot of the pros do, especially in the past, is even though you can hit every defense in the core with that overgrowth, he kind of staggers it to the side a little bit because he wants to sideswipe at least a couple of those core defenses. Otherwise, when that overgrowth expires, I mean, you have like all 8 of those heavy defenses hitting you at once. So often nice to at least take out 1 or 2 of them. But nonetheless, even with that, I mean, it's so much damage here as all of his units get to the core and no more spell support, and everybody's exposed and they're getting hit from just defenses at multiple angles.
Yeah, like you said, every single angle firing at him. He's got that final ice golem to try and protect the King, let him get that little bit further. Still has the King ability as well, and a couple of super barbarians. I wonder if you can just use those on buildings to like the north of the base to try and drive the percentage a little bit more, because at this stage there's not really a hope that he's going to get the 3-star, so he has to try and just select the least hit point buildings that he can, as you notice he's doing right there now.
Yep, and that's a good shout, especially in this meta where 3 stars are not super common. You have to be able to accept when you know you're not going to be able to get through the base, and if you have extra troops, just really start to maximize the percent. This one not going to work out. Pato gets a defense, and Elevate have a chance with their next attack to see if they can extend the lead.
Yeah, and they put themselves in such a driving position. They are a star ahead, and they were 12% ahead in terms of destruction before that last attack. And obviously with falling so far short, it really does put Elevate in the driving seat here. They'll be looking to close things out. We've got Leo heading in with the Root Riders, a very similar approach to what we just seen. And I love the shout out that you gave on the overgrowths of allowing you to like strip out part of these thick areas of the base. One thing I would add for anyone that at home that is trying to like utilize that technique, see if you can use it on the fire spitters to like get behind a fire spitter, or if a fire spitter is not facing you, obviously try not to overgrowth it so you can take it out before your troops move around it, and obviously you'll then take damage.
Definitely a great shout out with the fire spitter specifically. Leo has his Royal Champion moving in here on the left side of the base. Had a chance to take that fire spitter out, but decides he doesn't want to use the extra Invis spell, so he went ahead and recalled. He'll leave that fire spitter up. If he's going to go in on this 9 o'clock side and kind of work his way down to 6 and back up to the core, he should just be behind that fire spitter anyway.
Yeah, hopefully he can get the angle right. He takes a little bit of damage here initially, but then should be good. Notice the headhunters flying across the base there. Will actually work out pretty nicely to get the defending hero and then move down towards the defending minion prince. Overgrowths, like you said, the damage in this scenario, it's not one of those like thick rage tower compartments or core compartments that he has to worry about that, but just allows him to path around, keep the healing of the healers to maximum effect, where it can splash onto as many of those troops as possible.
The only thing I don't like about this setup here is that once that first overgrowth expires, that monolith, it was taking out 1 or 2 healers there. Luckily the boogers are starting to step in, try to distract that monolith, and as a couple of Valkyries and Yetis go in there, and he even sent in some back-end super barbs, so it looks like he did have kind of a nice backup plan for that monolith. The second overgrowth covering the town hall does feel risky, but I think he's willing to do it here because he still has all 4 hero abilities.
I only just noticed that myself. I was like, wait a second, he hasn't even used the Eternal Tome yet. Now we see that being used as he's approaching the town hall. Spiky Ball actually keeps everything moving into the base. That's where you don't have to always get like large defensive value with it. And with the Rocket Spear still intact here, Queen ability just being used, Leo for Elevate is going to extend their lead even further. And this almost gives them the victory. It's not mathematical at this point, or is it actually? I think it is, right? All Exceed, yeah, won't be able to catch up unless there was a drastic mistake from Elevate in their final attack.
We'd have to look at the math again, but it would take like a low percent 1-star or something at this point. Fun thing to note at the end of that attack, he didn't even use one of his invis spells, but also his last freeze he used on the fire spitter that wasn't even facing any of his troops, just on the fire spitter. So a little bit of a swag spell there, kind of trolling, not sure if he even noticed or not, but overwhelmingly crushing attack right there from Leo. And Leo wasn't even one of the 2 players we were talking about earlier with the highest hit rate. So just again, it goes to show that this team is just stacked with superstars.
Yeah, and they are managing to perform time and time again in this scenario as well. And take a look at this. Kazuma attacking Bernaul, but Bernaul opting to go with the Flame Spinner. I'm not sure that we've even seen one of those so far today. It's been the Hook Tower or the Crusher motor for the most part, I think.
The fire, or the Flame Spinner rather, definitely not one of the common choices used amongst the pros currently. It is cool to see though. I just love the visual effect of it, but it doesn't have the same sort of unpredictable effect that something like the Hook Tower has. The Flame Spinner here, very predictable because it just spins in circles the whole time. It does its thing whether you're there or not, but Kazuma goes ahead and takes it out early with the Royal Champion walk, setting up for the Root Riders now.
Yeah, it's difficult to know exactly where he wanted his RC to path there. It looked like she went a little bit wonky on him, but he should still be good in terms of defensive funnels here. Starts out with the Archer Queen and just the Grand Warden to try and take out this bottom section. There's no point in just blasting your Root Riders in, making sure they get kind of ahead of the game, if you will, or at risk of traps. You can slowly try and snipe off this bottom area, and then now we see the Root Riders coming in, and we'll see the King across to the left side to try and help with the funneling.
Some nice patience right there. I do think that was a good thing to do, so that way the Root Riders didn't take damage from the enemy heroes while he was able to take them out with his Headhunters. A little bit unfortunate though, that Minion Prince did so much damage to his Queen. She had to go to ability unexpectedly there, but as he moves in with the Root Riders, those units are at least looking healthy for now.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, with that Queen ability gone, it's nice that he can power through this area a little bit because he's got the damage. However, he is going to get stuck on the defending Ice Golems, and he's still got a long way to go to the Town Hall here. He's got the King ability and then another Overgrowth to try and push them up towards it, but things are going down fast at the same time as well, so a little bit of a increased heart rate moment, I'm sure, for Kazuma here.
That second Overgrowth, being able to use it so late in the attack definitely helps slow down the oncoming damage. His Royal Champion has been able to maintain her health as well throughout this entire attack, and even the Spirit Fox still alive. Power-wise, this is looking great. He does not have any spells left, and I'm trying to calculate if time is even going to be an issue. It seems like he's doing okay on time, but he is going to have to go through a poison effect, and that could slow him down.
Yeah, he's still got the spiky ball here, which he's trying to hold on to, obviously. Make sure that he can smash through a couple of those buildings, like the builder huts will go down in one shot. The storage might not go down in one shot now, doesn't actually even... Oh, yes, it does go down in one shot. And with 9 seconds... Oh, no, the Monolith just didn't quite go down. The Royal Champion, are you joking?
No!
What?
The Royal Champion only needed 1 or 2 shots, and she's the one that got targeted. It's a 99% for All Exceed, and that just about puts them out of this match as long as the final attacker of Elevate can come in and just secure at least 1 star.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the silver lining for him is that even if he'd have got the 3-star, Elevate would have only needed a 2-star attack in this last one to secure out the war, but still, they are attacking later today. They all want to get 3 stars at every point, but, you know, you want to try and put up as many stars as you can to give yourself as much confidence for the lower bracket as possible.
Indeed. Now we get to see Pato from Elevate, who actually has had the highest hit rate out of every single player in this particular season, the June month through Stage 1 and Stage 2. And let's see if he lives up to that stat. We have been hyping him up a little bit. He's coming in with the classic Root Rider strategy. Only one overgrowth, so if 2 overgrowths has kind of become the staple, he's at least slightly different there.
Yeah, I always love even just tailoring things slightly to the base, not just kind of running your Legend Army and going for it, but trying to really just think that little bit as to how can you take advantage of the current setup. Diving in towards the Town Hall here, using the Earthquake to try and weaken things. Love that. Alongside this first Invis, he's got to be careful because he has taken 1 shot from the Town Hall to the Spirit Fox, so another would mean that he loses the Spirit Fox. But at this stage, Town Hall should go down, and all is looking beautiful for Pato at the start of this attack.
That Archer Queen, defending Archer Queen on 1 HP there. You can barely even see any color in her health bar. That's fun to see, but she's still alive. And it's a good shout out from you. I think you mentioned earlier, if the Town Hall hits your Spirit Fox twice, she will take enough damage to go down. So that's something to know if you're watching at home and you're trying to use this Royal Champion Spirit Fox kind of combo as an opener for your attacks. You got to be careful with that Town Hall doing damage to your Spirit Fox, because it does a lot of damage to her. But we have the Overgrowth now on the left side of the core, the Root Riders moving their way in, and the Troop Launcher helping from behind.
Yeah, just continuing to pop those troops inside. Typically we see, you know, like Coco Loons in there to try and check for air traps for your healers. Sometimes we see the occasional Yeti as well, as we've seen in this scenario, just to try and bounce onto the defenses once you're in the heart of the base. With the Overgrowth wearing off, I think he was maybe hoping to direct onto those defenses a little bit more, but thankfully everything is still packed together, so things are protecting each other. However, he has lost his healers at this stage. Let's see how crucial that will be.
The healer's going down, definitely not ideal, and the Grand Warden as well. 2 of the things that really help you push through the back end of the base, but with the Queen ability, he might still have a chance. It's hard to tell. That Ricochet Cannon doing so much damage on the left. We do get through the multi-gear tower. The Royal Champion's still pushing through, but she finally drops to this Fire Spitter. We got all 3 Queens up, at least for now. Can they get through that Ricochet Cannon quick enough to give him a chance? Oh, they all fizzle out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even though he has like the Booga there from Sneezy, that won't protect the Ricochet Cannon. It was beautiful at first how the Giant, even though it had a tiny bit of health, like distracted the Fire Spitter long enough for the Queen to get through it, but unfortunately not able to push through these final couple of defenses. Super, super close for Pato. Like you said, he's had such an impressive hit rate recently as well, but Elevate getting the victory comfortably in the end as well. And you have to also say that being able to bounce back as a team from a massive upset and the way they started out the war, that is really impressive as well. And it goes to show just how strong they are.
Strong indeed. We can see the stats right here. It is a convincing victory for Elevate. Moving on to the next round, they do end up with 13 stars and pretty decent percent. This is on par with what we saw from Vatic earlier at the beginning of the day. Over on the other side, we still got to give some shout outs to some of those players on All Exceed. Of course, Invincible LG opening up with that 3-star was really great from him, and a couple of high percentage attacks from his teammates as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be excited to see, one, how Elevate perform moving through the bracket now, because if they weren't a favorite moving into this weekend, you've got to say after that performance, your expectation of them has maybe stepped up even further, but also how All Exceed bounce back from this. So let's take a look at the bracket so that we can see how this all starts to unfold now that we've played the first 4 matches. In the upper side of the bracket, we have Vatic Esports and Dizzy Stamina. Then we have Elevate and Only Bads, but moving down to the lower end of the bracket, we have the teams that naturally lost.
Indeed, these teams lost their first round, but they are still in it. They get one more shot, and we will be watching these 2 matches coming up next. So we're going to see Team Electros versus HTM Esports compete next, and the winner will still be moving on to play tomorrow, while the loser will be eliminated. And the same goes for Tribe Gaming versus All Exceed. So some really stacked matches coming up. We still got a lot of Clash to watch today. Let's see who ended up being the match MVP of the match that we just watched.
Drum roll, please. And it's Max. There we go. 33%. I think he's a fan favorite. He kept snatching that MVP from his teammates last month as well. I've got to say, you could arguably give it to any of the Elevate players. Bernaul arguably getting that 3-star initially and kind of spinning things around for them, I thought might have been a little bit higher, but they all had such good performances. And again, I always love the creativity that Max brings to the attacks. Even if he uses like meta strategies, he still brings his own spin on them, and I always enjoy watching him play for that reason.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, he seems to be kind of pioneering, slightly adjusting how these attacks are used. Like he was the first to do Rage Gem with Healing Tome, and now he's doing this attack slightly different, and maybe other players are going to end up copying it next month as well. We'll have to stay tuned and see, but you can see the next matchup we got for you guys, Team Electros versus HTM Esports, coming up soon, but we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back.